Greetings and salutations, folks, and welcome once again, as always, to another helping of Mr H's Hot Pot. You joined me this morning, up at a sparrow's fart, as I like to say, for an early morning lockdown bimble. And I've come today for my early morning lockdown bimble to Haigh Woodland Park, which is in my hometown of Wigan. And Haigh Woodland Park is more commonly known to myself and a generation of Wiganers as Haigh Country Park. It was rebranded in around 2016 by Wigan Council, who now own this woodland park and Haigh Hall that sits in it. But I don't accept the rebranding, and I'm sure many of my fellow Wiganers out there don't also. So I just thought I'd get that in before anybody who's watching this video mentions it. Now, I've come here today for two reasons. Number one, to stretch the old legs, and number two, to finish off a video that I started making back in October 2020, when I came in here to document an old relic that belongs to Haigh Hall itself, which sits in this wooded area, as I've said, and I'll put a picture in a short while further on in this video. Now, when I first started this channel back in 2016, 2017, like many other YouTubers, I started off in my own locality, documenting things in my hometown. Then I slowly spread my wings, and I think the furthest I've been is Florida in America, where I've made a video from. But way back then, when I was small, I only had a few subscribers. And one of my early subscribers was a fellow by the name of Lee Hurley. Now, Lee Hurley was very knowledgeable about the area of Wigan. He noted that I made a few videos in and around Wigan, and he sort of latched onto my channel with that, and he said, seeing as you're making a few videos from up in Haigh Hall, Mr H, have you ever seen the old wells that belonged to Haigh Hall? Well, I never heard of these hot potters, despite coming up Haigh Hall a lot, both with Mrs H and myself on several occasions down the years. I didn't know they was in here. I didn't know they existed. So I said, no, I've not seen those, Lee. If you show me where they are, I'll go in and make a video. Now, frustratingly, he would never actually tell me the exact location of them. He used just to say that they're near the miniature railway, which is a mile-long loop track that runs around this woodland park. And I thought to myself, well, it's like looking for a needle in an haystack. I've actually done a video where I walk the whole length of the miniature railway, which is in front of me now. I'll just whip the camera around and show you. That track runs all the way around. Like I said, I've done a video from it with Mrs H, and I'll put a link to that video at the end of this one. But he just kept telling me it's near there somewhere. So I thought, well, I'll do a bit of research, I'll do a bit of legwork. So I went on the internet and I looked round for history of Haigh Hall, couldn't find anything. I then went onto the Ordnance Survey maps, which are a fantastic resource for anybody who's interested in history, especially the ones from the 1800s. Couldn't find anything. So as time went on, hot potters, I'll be honest, I thought Lee Hurley was just pulling my leg, as these things didn't exist. Anyway, he stopped commenting on my videos and things like that, so I just thought to myself, well, he's fallen by the wayside and they don't exist. It was just somebody having me on. Skip forward, bring the story forward, because I'm digressing a bit, to the first lockdown, and I was up here with Mrs H, little Toby James, and our dog Lucy. Anyway, I was making my way where I've just walked now, and I know that little Lucy enjoys going in water. Muddy puddle, she's in it. She'd be able to find water in the Sahara Desert, providing it's muddy and she can roll over in it. So she was making her way for this pond, which she knew was here. I'll just whip the camera around again. So I thought to myself, you're not going in there, Lucy. So I ran after her as best I can, managed to clip the lead on her, and I stopped her from going in that pond. However, once I'd done that, and I was in this little wooded part here, which I'm just going to carefully make my way down to now. So I'm in this area, and as I clipped the lead on her, I noticed these little structures in the woods. Which hopefully you can just make out through the trees there. And lo and behold, there was Lee Hurley's wells that he was talking about. Indeed, there was some wells in here. Now, as I said, I couldn't find them on the Ordnance Survey maps or anything like that. So I think that these wells belong to Not the structure of Haigh Hall that's currently stood here, which I'll put a photograph in for you now. And that structure was completed around the mid-1800s. I think that these wells belong to the original Haigh Hall that used to stand here, which I'll put a photograph in of that for you now. And that structure dates from about the 1700s and before that. So I think myself that these wells, that I'll whip the camera around and show you in a minute, I think that these are the oldest relic in this woodland park. Now I believe that these have laid here all this time from the original Haigh Hall that used to be on here. And I'll show you the footage now that I did from October, and one of these wells was actually open. Now in this footage I say it's because somebody's come along with a crowbar. It's only afterwards, when I was watching the footage back, I realised that that October was very wet, if people can remember. And the level of that pond that I've just shown you was right up to the top, and I think that the pressure of water had actually forced the lids off. Anyway, I'll show you the footage now from October 2020, and then we'll wrap this video up. Now, on today's visit, we're a little bit lucky to find that the smaller of the two wells is actually open. Somebody's been in here and actually lifted the cap off. It was like that when I came in here. I haven't done that, I must state that here and now. And after I've made this little bit of film, I'm going to make my way up to Haigh Hall and see if I can get hold of one of the park rangers and mention it to them that it's open, because it is a little bit dangerous, that, as I should imagine it is rather deep. But it does give us a unique opportunity to take a look inside, because normally both those wells would be capped and you wouldn't be able to see inside them. So I'm going to lift the camera off the tripod now, and we'll be able to take a look down the inside of at least the smaller of the two wells. And here we go, hot potters. We'll take a look down this particular well now. It's probably not been opened up this since it was sealed sometime in the 70s or 80s. And judging by that steel plate there, that looks rather substantial, so somebody's probably come in here with a crowbar or something like that and been intent on opening it up to see what's below. As I state, I haven't done that. It was like this when I came here. Now the brickwork here on the side, you can see it's still in good condition, and I think you can just make out there, towards the left hand side of your screen, a metal bar that's running across. It's the same on the other side, and then there's water at the bottom. Now whether or not at some point that housed some pumping or winding gear to draw the water up from below or not, I don't know, but there's no signs on either of these wells of any winding gears or anything like that that you would normally associate with wells, but it looks like they used to be below and there would have been a pump on them at some point. Now why there's two wells and not just one big one, again, it's a bit of a mystery. You know, whether or not that one was for the main house and this little one here was for the servants' quarters or not, who knows. And why they chose this particular spot, which is quite a way away from the hall itself, is also a mystery. Now we'll just take a look at the cappings here that somebody's put on them, and as you can see it's thick steel plate, and then what appears to be little bird houses are actually, in fact, they had a vent. You can just make out there what looks like a little birdhouse roof. Underneath that there's an opening, a square hole that leads down to the bottom, and that's to allow any gases or anything like that that may build up in these former wells to escape. I'm going to switch the camera off now and make my way over to the hall and see if I can get hold of a ranger, because that should not be open. It is a bit dangerous, but it is interesting to take a look down one of these wells, and it is a little bit unique, and I'm rather fortuitous to find it open, although it shouldn't be. Right then, I'm going to make my way up to the hall now and report this. So I've no idea, Lee, if you still watch this channel or if you subscribe to this channel, but if you're watching this, as you can see, I have found them eventually, albeit by accident, and in part thanks to my Labrador, Lucy. Now, for anybody out there who wants to visit these wells for themselves, the next time they're up here in Haigh Hall, I'll give you better directions than Lee Early gave me, because they are very easily missed. I mean, I must have walked past where they're located hundreds, if not thousands of times in my lifetime of coming up here. But if you find yourself on the main driveway leading up to Haigh Hall, so you've got Haigh Hall in front of you, you'll find them at the bottom end of the drive on the right hand side. Look for the miniature railway line, then look for that pond that I showed you earlier on in this video, and they're just there on your right hand side. It's better to come and take a look at them in the winter months when there's no leaves on the trees. No good coming up here in summer because you've got the undergrowth. But that's how you'll be able to find them. Now, they're not located, surprisingly, on any Ordnance Survey maps or indeed in any official history of Haigh Hall, which makes me believe that they're probably part of the original estate and predate the existing hall that's already there. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this video up now. I'm going to head off back home and edit this video up, ready for your edification as always. So, until the next time, from myself, Mr. H, it is bye-bye for now.